Okay, so Mrs. Vorez here, and one of the requirements of our COVID-19 faux quarantine time off of school is for me to create content for you so that you can continue learning while you're at home. Now, I understand that not all of you have internet access, and that's totally okay. This is not something that's going to be graded, but a lot of students ask me about drawing faces, and it's not something that I generally teach in my curriculum. Normally, you don't learn that until you're in 8th grade when you do your Holocaust unit, but I figure no time like the present to kind of show you my steps to drawing realistic faces. So, first things first, tools. I like just plain Ticonderoga pencils. They erase well, they have a great color to them. A lot of people like drawing pencils, and you can use drawing pencils, but I don't know. I learned with just regular pencil, and so I just try to get as much value as I can out of that. It's something that's readily available. Paper, right now I'm just using plain computer paper. Generally, I do like to have sketchbook paper that has a little bit more of a tooth to it so that when you are blending or you are trying to get some of those values, it gives it a little bit more grab so that you can get a little bit wider variety of your values. But for the sake of the fact that I'm in sort of a quarantine and I can't go out and buy whatever I want, computer paper and a Ticonderoga are all I need. Okay, so the other thing that you're going to need is a picture, obviously, to draw from. Magazine pictures are great because they have a very high resolution. You can see a lot of detail in them. And I recommend like a fashion magazine because they have close-ups of faces with makeup ads and things like that. You can look online for pictures. I don't recommend printing them though. I recommend looking at them like on a computer screen so you can zoom in and make sure if you're looking for an image that you're using a large resolution. So when you go to Google and you search for that image, open that tools and go to large image and search for it that way. Try to find one that focuses in on the face, and that will hopefully give you enough detail to draw, because you can't draw a good detailed picture from a fuzzy photograph. So if your picture is low resolution, or if it's been blown up, or if it is not clear, you're just straight up not gonna have the detail that you need. So I have picked a picture of Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad, just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm shooting for here. Okay, so normally I go through the parts of the face and their spacing and everything first. I don't know how long we're going to be out of school, so I'm going to start with that, and then I'll go right into just drawing the eyes. And my suggestion to you, after you learn how to draw eyes, go draw eyes. Go draw like 5 different sets of eyes just to see it, just to try it. Don't try to move on to just drawing the face all at once. It just doesn't work well. Focus just on eyes. So right now when I'm looking at this high resolution photograph of Aaron Paul, I am zoomed in just on his eyes. Okay? All right, so when you're drawing a face, I'm just going to start with basic facial proportions. A lot of times when we draw a face, we start with an oval, okay? And then we draw some eyes, and we draw a nose, and we draw a mouth. I don't know about you and what kind of people you meet, but I've never met anybody that looks like that, okay? So when I'm drawing a face, I don't worry about the outer shape of the head to start with, okay? So, but when you do draw a head, it's more like a circle, okay? And then, oh, that's kind of hard to see. Let me put my paper over. Sorry, I'm limited on my video exposure here. I start with a circle, and that's kind of the crown of the head, and then the jaw comes off of that bottom part. Okay, now this part obviously would be erased eventually. Okay, now straight down most people are symmetrical in some way or another. Now their head might be tilted or whatever. But one thing that people don't realize is that the eyes are about halfway down the head. So this distance right here should be about the same as this distance right here. Okay, so if I were to measure that with my pencil, if I go from the corner here to where the chin is, and then I measure it from the top of the head to the corner again. That's the same distance on my pencil. I use this as my measuring tool. Okay, so that is the line where the eyes should go. Now, the other thing that a lot of people don't realize is that when you're making your eyes, the distance between your eyes is the same width as your eye for most of the population. Now, there are some people where their eyes are a little bit closer together, their eyes are a little bit further apart, but when we're talking in generalities, the distance between an eye, this distance here is the same as the eye distance. So if I make my eye shape here, and again, I take that measuring, I'm going to take a shorter pencil so I don't knock down my stand here, and I measure that, and then I mark and mark, then my eye proportions are going to be generally correct. Okay, so this distance right here is the same as this distance right here. The other thing that drives me nuts is looking at this other picture. This is from the front, this is from the front, but your nose is from the side. So this person, if you were to see them walking down the street, is walking with a piece of glass up against their face, pushing their nose to the side. It doesn't make any sense. So when we're drawing the nose from the front, the nose has to come out from the face. And most of that is really done with shadows. There are very, very few lines in a nose. The only lines that you would see are the creases for your outer nostrils and then the holes themselves. So in order to determine the length of a nose, again, speaking in generalities, this is not universal for every person. This width of the eye that we have right here, if you bring from the corner here down to this, that is about where the tip of the nose is going to be. This distance here is about the same as the eye. Okay, so that's where the tip, that's where the outermost point of the nose is going to be, which means the part of the nostrils is going to be slightly below that. Okay, now I'm drawing a super generic person here. I'm not looking at any details. I'm not looking at any photos. This is just very general what I'm seeing. So I would see this part of the nose right here, which would end up being kind of the part that sticks out, and then these outer parts are where the nostrils are. Okay. Another thing that we tend to do is we have a huge space between the lips and the nose. If you put your finger between your lip and your nose, it's really a very small space. It's usually only about the width of your finger. Okay, so then I would have my lips start much higher than I normally would, and the corner of your lips generally lines up with the center of your eyes. So if I'm going to bring my lips out to here, the corner of my lips are going to meet up with the center of my eyes, okay? I cannot stress enough that this is general. Obviously, if there's a facial expression, that's going to change. If your face is diagonal, that's going to change. If your mouth is open, that's going to change. This is very general, just so that you understand where to put these things on the face, okay? Now, things like ears. Ears will go from this crease to this crease. If you take your fingers along those two creases and bring them straight back, they're going to meet up with those parts of your ear. And I make them a little bit shorter just because it's going further back, but it's about matched up with the top of that mouth, because we have to apply what we call foreshortening, which means that as things get further away, they appear smaller. So I'm going from the top of that mouth when I'm drawing to make those ears. Okay, so far this is the face that we have, a big bald head. Okay, now eyebrows are going to be different for every person. The hairline is going to be different, but let's just say I'm going to do some kind of bang halfway between the skull and this line. That's about where your hairline's going to fall. Okay, so from here I could do bangs like this, and then you add a neck, and then you've got kind of a basic face. Okay, so proportionately, that's what we're talking about. That's just something that's a good reference point for you to know. And I will see you back again soon when we learn about drawing eyes.